Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to put new valve cover gaskets in this Ferrari 430.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan and we are at the Stub. This is our dealership, NG Supercars. And this is one of our Ferrari F430s, which is for sale. So check it out on our website, ngsupercars.com. But it's got a bit of an oil leak coming out of the valve cover gaskets, so we're going to change those out because, well, it's pretty common on these 430s. It's just one of those things that just, it happens. It actually happens on a lot of Ferraris, unfortunately. And, well, to get to them, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So let me show you what we're going to do this thing. Get it cleaned up, get the oil to stop leaking so that we stop having that smell and that smoke come out of it, because that's not great when you're driving down the road and the smoke comes out of the back of the car. By the way, you can support our channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. We do appreciate that very much, so thank you. And well, let's have at it. Let's wrench on this thing. All right, YouTube, so this car has about 36,000 miles on it, so that's about right for having the gaskets go bad. All right, so here we go. And well, you can't really see it right here, but well, it's leaking down there. They particularly leak at the ends of the valve cover gaskets, where it's kind of like got that big half moon thing. Again, probably can't see it. So to get those out, it's actually kind of a pain in the butt in this car. What we're gonna have to do is get the car up in the air, pull off the bottom tray, pull off the diffuser, and then we're gonna actually put a jack underneath the car and support the transmission while we remove the aluminum A-frame. So we actually have to remove this brace right here. It's actually kind of not terrible on the Spider because you can actually get to those bolts from up top. I believe there's like a little cap, so we have to put the top halfway up to remove those bolts. So we'll get to those in a minute. Yeah, and we gotta remove stuff there and all over the place. So fun. It's yeah, not one of my favorite tasks on these cars at all. Okay, so we got the bottom panel off and I'm just kind of looking over the engine. So far everything looks pretty typical, pretty normal condition. I mean, good news is everything's dry. The belt looks like it's in good shape, so that's probably been changed recently. I know that the previous owner said they spent a bunch of money. They did all of the fluids and everything. The engine mounts, this one's in great shape. This one's in pretty good shape. So they're actually still usable. I would not change these yet. You can see right there, the rubber block is not touching the metal yet. And then right here, the rubber block has a big gap. So we're doing okay on the engine mounts. That's great. Looking up here, there's no oil leak that I can see from down here on this side. But when I came over here, you can see there is definite discoloration in the header protecting right here. So that clearly has an oil leak right there. That's probably what we're getting all the smell and smoke from. Okay, so we have the bottom panel off, and like I said, eventually we need to get the A-frame out. And to get this out, you basically got to remove a ton of other crap. It's just easier. I've done this without removing the A-frame, and no thanks, don't want to do that again. So this time I'm just going to do it removing the A-frame. We'll check the spark plugs. I don't know if they need to be changed, but we're going to be pulling them out, pulling out the ignition coils anyway, so there's no reason not to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull off the side panels because that will give us some more clearance down there. So these are just all these little 3mm Allens all over the place. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll get the air box out of the way. So you basically unbolt the coolant tank, just set it right here. We can then get the air box out of the way. And the reason you got to get the air box out of the way is because the trans mount is underneath it down there. So we'll just start popping stuff off. All right, YouTube, so we got a lot of the stuff out of the way. We got the air box out of there. We got the heat shield over the trans mount out of there. We disconnected all of these hoses and lines. And I have a jack sitting on the transmission just ever so gently. And the reason is because we're going to pull out this bolt that holds the trans mount to the A-frame. So once we do that, then we can undo these bolts, and we're going to pull out the A-frame, or at least slide it out of the way partly, or maybe just even flop it, like rotate it. I have to figure something out because I may have to start pulling off like stuff on the intake and the oil reservoir and all that crap, and I really am not wanting to do that, but we'll have to see. Again, this is still going to be easier than trying to lay in there and manage dealing with those things while they're in there. Trust me, this is, maybe I'm going to say an hour of work to save probably 2-3 hours of frustration. All right, YouTube, so you can see I've got the Spider top propped up about halfway, and right here is a little plug that you pop off, and that gets you access to the 4 bolts that hold on the rest of the A-frame. So we're gonna pop those off. Those are 6mm Allens, by the way. All right, YouTube, there's the A-frame. It's out, and as you can see, we now have plenty of space for activities.
Look at all this floor space. So much. You do aerobics in here. So many activities.
That is gonna make life a whole lot easier, and you can definitely see the oil pooled up onto that section. What's going to suck is even once we change this out, it's going to have to burn off all the oil that's saturated into that, but hopefully that won't take too long. So now we just got to disconnect all the crap on the top of this. I started doing a couple of them. You got this hose right here. It's like a breather. You've got some cam position sensors. You've got the variators, which you have those E-clips. You got to pop the E-clips, and then got all the ignition coils and all these wires and everything, and get it all the way. And of course, then you've got the actual valve cover bolts themselves, which they're not super easy to get to. I hate this job. Anyway, about 3+ hours of work to get the A-frame out. Again, make sure you have a jack holding up the trans. And actually, we got a great view of the trans mount, and we can see it is in great shape. So we are not going to be changing that. Thank you. Finally, something that isn't broken in this car. One trick is, so on the A-frame, just pop off this piece right here. You can leave on the power steering pump and some of the other vacuum lines and stuff, but you got, there's lines everywhere dangling now, so we're gonna have to be very careful when we resort everything, that we put it in the proper place.
The next day.
Good morning, YouTube. It's been a few days, and well, we're gonna go back at working at this F430. So let me show you where we're at and show you what we got left to do, because now's where it starts to get kind of not so fun. Okay, so the A-frame's out. We've got access to the valve covers, so now we got to pop off everything that's on top of the valve covers and actually take them off. You can see that there is definitely discoloration along this heat shielding, so that's where clearly this one's leaking and that one's leaking, although this one almost looks like it's leaking worse. Initially I thought it was this one that's leaking worse, but I think this one is definitely leaking worse. The joys of Ferrari ownership. So we're gonna get that sucker out of there. We can put on a new gasket, get it all set, and we'll have ourselves a very nice F430 for you. All right, YouTube, the valve cover is out, and here it is. So definitely looks like it's been leaking, because you can see there is oil on the outside edge of this thing. So like right here, it's all oily. Yep. So we're gonna replace all of these, the spark plug gaskets, and those look like those were ready to leak too. Those were, so we're gonna replace all this, clean up the valve cover, get it all nice and shiny and clean, and oh yeah, definitely was leaking there. Look at that big old puddle of oil. Well, there's your problem. All right, so I've sprayed about a full can of brake cleaner on this thing, and it looks a lot better. It's still not perfect, but it got rid of a lot of the dirt and grime that had been on this thing. So we're gonna do a trick that Josh Hill taught me, which is we're gonna actually spray the gaskets with brake cleaner and scrub them, because there's a film apparently that's on it, and this will get rid of this film and help it stick a little better. Okay, YouTube, while we have the valve covers off, it's a really easy time to change the spark plugs, so I went ahead and did this side. So I also put a little bit of gasket sealer to kind of hold it in place, the black stuff, so it's the oil resistant stuff. I'm just letting it dry for a few minutes before I pick it up. This way the gasket will hopefully not fall off, because that happens and then it's really annoying, and then you got to redo the whole thing. So looks like it's getting pretty stable. It's sticking down really good, so I think we're about ready to put this piece of crap back in. And man, Let me tell you, the Spider is substantially worse than the Coupe. This is difficult, but it's not insurmountable, but it's definitely up there in some of my least favorite jobs. After a lot of struggle, we have one side completely done, and the other side is halfway there. We've got the gasket on, and we put some gasket sealant on there, and it's drying. And I'm a dumbass, and I lost 2 of the E-clips. I was trying to put them on, and it just went pew and shot off.
I saw them both fly.
Yeah.
I don't know where they went.
So we're gonna have to go find some of these things locally. Well, would you look at that, YouTube? We have a 430 that's back together. Still don't have the panels in, still don't have the diffuser or the bottom tray or any of that stuff. I'm gonna do that tomorrow, but I did want to kind of start up, make sure we didn't break anything. So I believe everything's connected. So let's fire it up and see what happens. My lovely assistant will start it up. Oh, hold on, let me turn the camera on. We'll give it a minute and see if it starts smoking. Yay! Don't check engine light. We didn't forget anything. All right, YouTube. We ran it for about 10 minutes. No smoke. Success. I think we'll button it all up and then beat the hell out of it and then declare it good. And that's just an excuse to drive it hard. Oh no! Okay, YouTube, it's the next day and I just threw on the bottom tray and just kind of looking around, like typical diffuser scrapes, you know. It's I mean, this is a driver's car. This is pretty much like what you'd expect for driver's quality stuff. So, you know, missing hardware there. The screw holes are, like the little tabs are gone there. That's really, really common. Someone cut out the corners here so you could actually get lifts in and out without having to remove the lift arms and stuff for the bottom tray. So that's not uncommon either for these cars. But otherwise, I think it's time to drive it. It's like 80 degrees out, so I guess we're gonna have to put the top down in the convertible. I mean, I don't like convertibles, but I mean, if you got a convertible and it's 80 degrees out, you gotta drive with the top down, right? All right, never a bad day when you can drive a Ferrari. And top. Nope, that way? Nope, this way. There we go. So this was a little weird. When we first started up the car and we're heating it up to kind of see if it would smoke, there was no check engine light. So I started up to back it off the ramps, and I got a check engine light, and I pulled the codes, and there's like a ton of check engine lights, or a ton of codes. So I'm like, ah, crap. Clearly we forgot to plug in something or whatever. So I popped the hood, take a look, and one sensor we forgot to plug in. So I clear the codes, start it up again, check again, and it still got a code. And this time I got a different code that didn't show up the first time, which was that the cam position sensor was like, reading out of bounds. So I'm like, I'm willing to bet you we swapped cam position sensors on one of the banks, and it specifically said it was the right bank, so we knew it was the passenger side. So I just swapped those and cleared the codes, reset everything, and it's happy again. So now officially no codes. Okay, so now we can go for a drive. Although I just have a problem. Like everything's breaking right at the same time. So that giant TV behind me that we just bought like a month and a half ago, yeah, it's broken. Sweet. Figured I should probably show you what I was talking about. So right here are the wires for the cam position sensors, and here's what's stupid is it's labeled 1, 2, not 1, 2. So 1 is the bottom, 2 is up top, and then on this side it's actually labeled 7, 8. Yeah, I don't know. Here's how this happened is when I pulled off this side, I marked the bottom one with a piece of tape. Josh did this side. He didn't mark them, so I didn't know which one was which, and I just figured, oh, one must be up top. Well, no, that's wrong. All right, YouTube, we're on a fun little Texas back road. It's kind of cool. So we're just trying to put some heat in this thing and make sure it doesn't catch on fire. I suppose I probably should have brought an element fire extinguisher with me. Never been on this road before, so I can't go too crazy. Alright, this road just got even cooler. It's a little bit sketchy, like the material's not real good. There's kind of like a drop off on the edge. So you definitely don't want to screw up out here, but it's like straight like ranch land, man. This is so cool. This is like really close to our shop too, which is kind of crazy to think like it goes to very, very rural very quickly. Yeah, look at this. It's like a little bit, I don't think you want to turn there. Probably not. What a cool road. Well, YouTube, there is still a tiny bit of smoke coming off, and I believe it's just burning off the stuff that was already there. It's gonna take a while because I mean it got oil into those header blankets, so that's gonna unfortunately smoke a bit until I can burn it all off. But it's looking a lot better, a lot less smoke, so I think we're good to go. I am also gonna tighten the PIS just a tiny bit because it felt a little loose still. All right, YouTube, there you have it. Valve cover gaskets are done. I can tell that it's a lot better because prior to this, whenever you come to a stop, you could smell it, and you can't really smell it now. So I'm still seeing a tiny bit of smoke. It will burn off in short order. It might even be burn off now that it's gotten a really good heat cycle. So I drove it a good 20, 25 miles or so, and really was getting on it here and there just to get it really nice and hot. So hopefully burn it off. Yeah, that job sucks, and it's a very expensive job if you take it to a dealership or have a service place do it. So if you can do it yourself, I mean, you can save a lot of money. The parts are cheap. I mean, the gaskets cost like, I don't know, 100 something bucks maybe. That's it. I mean, you can do it in a day, but I mean, we took our time and spent 2 days doing it, or 2.5 or whatever. Yeah, your back feels it. Lots of laying over the side of the car. not so great. More DIY stuff coming your way. We got to finish up the 458, so like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and visit normalguyssupercar.com and ngsupercars.com. We do appreciate when you guys can support us, so thank you so much. We will see you in the next video. We're going to be doing a lot of cool car stuff. It's going to be sweet.